Hello everyone, welcome. This last week I've really been getting into the Jurassic Park franchise. I've watched all the movies and I just finished reading the original novel. After reading it, I thought it'd be fun to come and explain some of the differences between the first film and the novel, and some trivia I found as well. Please enjoy. The guest's encounter with the sick Triceratops ends without any clear explanation as to why the animal is sick. Michael Crichton's original novel and the screenplay, however, include an explanation. The Stegosaurus/Triceratops lacked suitable teeth for grinding food, and so, like birds, would swallow rocks and use them as gizzard stones. In the digestive tract, these rocks would grind the food to aid in digestion. After 6 weeks, the rocks would become too smooth to be useful, and the animal would regurgitate them. When finding and eating new rocks to use, the animal would also swallow West Indian lilac berries. The fact that the berries and stones are regurgitated explains why Ellie never finds traces of them in the animal's excrement. Samuel L. Jackson was supposed to fly to Hawaii to film Arnold's death scene, but a hurricane destroyed the set and the scene had to be scrapped. He regrets this because he was physically chased by them and killed. Wayne Knight felt Nedry deserved to die, but it bothered him that it happened off camera and was not as gory as in the novel, where he was decapitated. In the shooting script, it was written that during the Tyrannosaurus' escape, Malcolm would simply get out of the SUV and run away, much as Durano had done moments before. In fact, this is how Malcolm behaves in the scene as written in the book. When the time came to film the scene, it was Jeff Goldblum's idea to make his flight more heroic, by having him distract the Tyrannosaurus so Grant could save the children. The Mr. DNA cartoon was Steven Spielberg's way of condensing much of the novel's exposition into a few minutes. Michael Crichton estimated that the screenplay has only about 10 to 20% of the novel's content. Michael Crichton intended John Hammond to be a dark Walt Disney. However, while possibly unintentional, the character is also similar to P.T. Barnum. James Cameron has stated that he wanted to make this movie, but the rights were bought a few hours before he could bid. Upon seeing the movie, Cameron realised that Steven Spielberg was a better choice to direct it, as his version would have been much more violent, which wouldn't have been fair to children who relate to dinosaurs. The visual effects were directly influenced by Cameron's Terminator 2 Judgment Day. The most difficult effect to pull off was the vibrating rings of water. Spielberg wanted the T-Rex to announce its presence somehow before the audience saw it, and got the idea from watching the mirror in his car vibrate from the bass effects while listening to Earth, Wind and Fire. When Michael Lantieri tried to replace that with water, it was harder than any of the dinosaur effects. Nobody knew how to do it, but told Spielberg they could. The night before the shoot, Lantieri put a glass of water on a guitar, and when he plucked the strings, that it did. So for the scene, they fed guitar strings under the dashboard to get the effect. A man on the floor plucked the strings to achieve the effect. Nedry's reasons for betraying Hammond are clearer in the novel, who is misled and never told anything about what goes on in Jurassic Park, forcing him to accept a bribe from a rival company. In the novel, Nedry's financial problems are explained. Essentially, he was an independent contractor hired to design the computer system for Jurassic Park. However, he was kept in the dark as to what he was developing the systems for. Hammond constantly changed what exactly he wanted and added further workload outside what he'd been contracted for. When Nedry attempted to renegotiate his contract to compensate for the additional work, he was threatened with litigation, and Hammond destroyed his reputation, preventing him from getting any other contracts. As a result of this, Dodson offered him $1.5 million to steal the embryos. The whole incident of Jurassic Park takes place because Hammond wouldn't pay Nedry a fair wage for his work. In the book, Hammond's sole motivation for Jurassic Park is profit. In the movie, Dr. Grant resuscitates Tim after he is shocked by the electric fence. In the book, it is Lex who is the one resuscitated by Dr. Grant after nearly drowning in a river escape. That brings up something I want to talk about. After reading the book and then watching the film, Lex and Tim's characters are swapped. So the book has Tim, he's the older one, and he's real tech savvy, and Lex is pretty much just one of the most annoying characters in a book I've ever read probably. All she does is cry and carry on. But in the film, they've swapped, so Tim's the younger one, Lex is the older one, and Lex is more capable, and she's the tech savvy one. So in the final act, when they're in the control room, Grant and Ellie are holding the door against the Velociraptor. It's Lex that jumps on the computer and reboots the system, which I enjoy. I'm glad she wasn't just a whining child in the film. Another big difference between the first film and the novel is which characters live and which characters die. In the novel, Hammond and Ian Malcolm both die. Hammond gets eaten by compies in the novel, and in the film, Muldoon dies. He's killed by the raptors, but in the novel, he survives. And another big difference is a side plot with the dinosaurs escaping the island and getting to the mainland. Our protagonists see a ship leaving the dock, and they can see that there's dinosaurs on it. This is while the power's out. They can't reach the boat. They have a limited time frame to get the power back on so they can reach the boat to prevent the dinosaurs from getting to the mainland. Another big difference is the inclusion of the compies, which are the little tiny dinosaurs. Right at the beginning of the first novel, there's a family. There's a young girl who goes off wandering on her own. She gets bitten by one of these compies, and that was dropped for the film, but they included it at the beginning of the second film. And that's about all I got for you guys. Just a quick one this week. There's a lot more differences between the book and the film. I just wanted to get a quick video out because I've been on holiday and I haven't been able to record anything. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed.